Phil Mickelson has seen it all. 6 majors, 22 PGA Tour wins, decades of greatness. But when the 55-year-old legend looks at 21-year-old Michael La Sasso, he sees something special, something worth giving up a Masters invitation for, something worth calling one of the most exciting young players in the game today. And the golf world cannot stop talking about it. The announcement came on a quiet Tuesday in January. No fanfare, no press conference, just a statement from Phil Mickelson that stopped the golf world in its tracks. The 6-time major champion, the man who has shared fairways with Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus, had just signed the reigning NCAA men's champion to his HyFlyers GC team. Michael La Sasso, 21 years old, fresh off a historic season at Ole Miss where he posted the lowest single-season scoring average in program history at 69.48, a first-team All-American, a Walker Cup champion, and now a professional golfer. But here is where the story gets truly unbelievable, because signing with LIV Golf meant La Sasso had to give up something precious, something that most players spend their entire careers dreaming about, an automatic invitation to the Masters. That's right, the 21-year-old turned down a guaranteed spot at Augusta National, the most sacred ground in all of golf, to turn professional early and join Mickelson's team. Most players would kill for that invitation. They would beg, they would crawl, they would do absolutely anything to hear those words, "4 please, now on the tee." But Michael La Sasso looked at that invitation and said no, because Phil Mickelson offered him something even more valuable. Not money, though the contract was certainly lucrative. Not fame, though LIV events are broadcast around the world. Knowledge, wisdom, a shortcut through the maze that takes most golfers a decade to navigate. As Mickelson himself put it, "I didn't win a major until I was 33. I started working with Dave Peltz, and 3 months later, he showed me how to practice, what to practice, how I needed to work, and all of a sudden, I got better exponentially. And now that information is being spoon-fed by a lot of captains." That is what La Sasso signed up for. Not a team, a masterclass. A chance to learn from one of the greatest minds in golf history day after day, on the range and in the locker room and everywhere in between. And when the news broke, the reactions came from everywhere. Golf Twitter exploded, analysts rushed to record hot takes, former players weighed in with opinions ranging from admiration to confusion. But through it all, one question kept coming up again and again. What does Phil see in this kid that made him give up a Masters spot?
To understand why Phil Mickelson is so excited about Michael La Sasso, you have to look at the numbers, and the numbers are staggering. At Ole Miss, La Sasso did not just win the NCAA individual championship, he dominated. He posted the lowest single-season scoring average in program history at 69.48, a number that puts him in rare air alongside some of the greatest amateurs the college game has ever produced. He was named a first-team All-American. He represented the United States at the Walker Cup, going head-to-head with the best amateurs from Great Britain and Ireland, and coming out victorious. But the statistics only tell half the story, because what truly sets La Sasso apart is not how he plays, it is how he thinks. In a press conference before his first LIV event in Riyadh, La Sasso was asked why he chose LIV over the PGA Tour. His answer revealed something profound about his mentality. He said, "One of the things that went into my decision when I was 10 years old starting to play golf, like the goal for me was to play professional golf. Having people that have been very well known in the golf space and are so experienced, and to be able to be a part of a team that's with Phil, somebody that's had so much experience, I feel like he'll be able to answer any question that I throw at him." That is not the answer of a naive kid chasing a paycheck. That is the answer of a student who understands that the fastest way to the top is not grinding alone in the dark, but standing on the shoulders of giants. La Sasso also explained why the team format of LIV Golf appealed to him so much, drawing a direct line from his college experience to his professional future. He said, "I think that makes the transition a little bit easier. I feel like my golf has kind of taken off when I've been in a team environment. For me, having a team around me was very appealing. I've played good golf as a team. I like the camaraderie, kind of the friendly banter that goes back and forth between the guys.
For me to have the opportunity to come play on a team environment for a professional career, I think that's the coolest thing ever. That is the perspective that separates La Sasso from other young players. He is not afraid to admit that he needs help, he is not too proud to learn, and he understands something that most 21-year-olds do not. Golf is an individual sport, but greatness is a team project. Phil Mickelson saw that, and he moved quickly to lock La Sasso down before anyone else could. Now the young star is learning from a legend, and the golf world is watching every single step of the way.
But Michael La Sasso is not the only young talent receiving major recognition from Phil Mickelson. There is another name that has been making headlines, and this one is even more shocking. Jackson Koivun, the Auburn junior who just did something that no other golfer in SEC history has ever done. He won SEC Player of the Year for the third consecutive time. That is not a typo. 3 straight years. No one else has ever done that. Not Tiger Woods, not Jon Rahm, not even Phil Mickelson himself. Koivun has been on an absolute tear this season. He was named SEC Golfer of the Week for the 5th time in 2026 alone, bringing his career total to 14 weekly honors. At the Ford Collegiate, he shot 13 under par with a field-leading 17 birdies, including 6 through his final 9 holes, to force a playoff and clinch his 10th career victory. That puts him in elite company. He is just the 21st man in NCAA golf history to reach double-digit wins, joining names like Tiger Woods, Jon Rahm, and yes, Phil Mickelson. One more victory will tie the SEC wins record of 11. And here's where Phil comes in. Months ago, before La Sasso was even on the radar, Mickelson took to social media and dropped a comment that sent shockwaves through the golf world. He wrote that Koivun is an amazing talent and destined for greatness. Then he added a wink emoji and the words, he would also look great in a HyFlyers outfit. It was classic Phil, a little bit serious, a little bit cheeky, and completely calculated. Because Mickelson knows exactly what he is doing. He's sending a message to every young golfer on the planet. Come to LIV, come to the HyFlyers, and I will make you a champion. The timing of Koivun's historic achievement could not be more perfect. As the golf world debates the future of the sport, as the lines between LIV and the PGA Tour continue to blur, here comes a 20-year-old who is rewriting the record books, and Phil Mickelson has already claimed dibs. Whether Koivun actually joins LIV remains to be seen. He has deferred his PGA Tour membership to study for another year at Auburn, so he's not turning professional anytime soon. But the message has been sent, the seed has been planted, and when Koivun finally decides to turn pro, he will have a very interesting choice to make: the traditional path with the PGA Tour or the fast track with Phil Mickelson and the HyFlyers. Either way, the golf world will be watching, and either way, Phil has already won, because he has positioned himself as the mentor of the next generation, the wise old sage who can take raw talent and forge it into championship steel. That reputation is worth more than any contract, and Mickelson knows it.
So what does all of this mean for the future of golf? The answer might be more complicated than anyone wants to admit, because Phil Mickelson is not just signing young players, he is building a legacy. At 55 years old, Mickelson is no longer the dominant force he once was. He has not won an individual LIV event since joining the league. His 2025 season was solid, but unspectacular, with 3 top 10 finishes, highlighted by a solo third in Hong Kong and a T4 finish in Virginia. He has played in just 1 LIV event in 2026 due to personal family issues, and will miss the PGA Championship at Aronimink. The clock is ticking. Father Time is undefeated, but Mickelson has found a new way to win. Not with his own clubs, with the clubs of the players he mentors. Look at what he said when asked about his role as a teacher. He explained, "I'm going to try to help the guys on our team and younger players become their best selves and share the knowledge that I learned over the years from others and try to help to develop them faster to achieve their goals quicker. It doesn't matter if I'm playing as their teammate or if I'm taking on just a captain's role." That is not the statement of a man clinging to past glory.
That is the statement of a man who has found a new purpose, a new mission, and he has already seen the results. He pointed to players like Caleb Surratt, who came right out of college, and David Puig, and Jose LaBallester, and Tom McKibben. He said, Caleb flat out said, I am exponentially further along after a year of being with John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton than I would be if I was still in school. The development of these young guys that are being spoon-fed information by Sergio, by John Rahm, by some of the greats of the game, they're picking up that we had to learn on our own. That is the secret weapon of LIV golf, not the money, not the 54-hole format, not the team competition. The mentorship, the way that legends are passing down their knowledge to the next generation, compressing decades of learning into months. And no one is doing it better than Phil Mickelson. He is not just signing Michael La Sasso, he is investing in him, pouring years of hard-earned wisdom into a kid who has the talent to be great, but needs the guidance to get there. And if it works, if La Sasso becomes a star, then Mickelson's legacy will be secure, not just as a player, as a builder, a creator, the man who saw the future of golf and built it with his own two hands.
The reactions from the golf world have been pouring in, and they are as divided as ever. Some see Mickelson's recruitment of young talent as brilliant, as forward-thinking, as exactly what the sport needs to bridge the gap between generations. Others see it as cynical, as predatory, as a way for LIV to poach the best young players before they even have a chance to prove themselves on the PGA Tour. But one thing is certain, Michael La Sasso is not looking back. When asked about his decision to turn down the Masters, he did not hesitate. He said, to have the ability to be able to ask somebody that on a daily basis, that played a very big part in it for me. Because not every 21-year-old has the opportunity to be able to ask questions to those people. So that was a big factor for me. I think so far, I'm so grateful that I made the decision, and I am very happy to be here. He is not thinking about what he lost. He is thinking about what he gained. And what he gained is access to one of the greatest minds in the history of golf. That is not nothing. That is everything. For Jackson Koivun, the future is still unwritten. He is still at Auburn, still dominating college golf, still adding to his legacy as perhaps the greatest amateur of his generation. But when he finally turns pro, the choice will be stark. The PGA Tour with its tradition and its history and its grueling 72-hole events, or LIV Golf with its team format and its mentorship and its promise of accelerated development. Phil Mickelson has already made his pitch. He would look great in a HyFlyers outfit. That wink emoji was not just a joke, it was a promise, and when the time comes, Koivun will have to decide whose promise he trusts more. The golf world is stunned, not just by the talent of these young players, but by the audacity of Phil Mickelson. At 55, when most athletes are fading into irrelevance, he is more relevant than ever. Not because of what he is doing on the course, but because of what he is building off it. He is not just playing the game, he is shaping it, molding it, deciding who the next stars will be. And whether you love him or hate him, whether you support LIV or despise it, you have to respect the vision. Phil Mickelson looked at the future of golf and saw an opportunity, and he took it.